Hello, thanks for joining today's webinar. You can enlarge your screen for the optimal viewing experience using these buttons. You can also click the arrow here to view the hidden menu. The section at the very bottom will twirl out a menu that allows you to ask questions for the host to answer. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoy this webinar.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our session on year-end reporting, Streamlined for high volume filing. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Christina. I am the TaxBandits Business Development Manager, and I am so excited to join you today to go over all of the things that high volume filers need to know for tax year 2024 reporting. We are definitely getting to the point where you want to have all these things in place. So we're going to cover them and what you can do to avoid common hurdles and just make sure it's a really successful filing season for you, for your clients, if you're a preparer. Our agenda today, as you can see, we'll talk about the importance of filing. We'll talk a little bit about us and how we're helping with that, but we'll also talk about the forms, the benefits, and then we'll go into a demo. There's also going to be a Q&A at the end, so make sure to stick around and we'll cover those questions. Now, the importance of e-filing for tax year 2024. Obviously, e-filing is important every year, but as many of you, I'm sure have heard, the IRS, effective January 1st, 2023, sharply limited the number of information returns that are allowed to be paper filed. Previously, that form limit was 250 forms, and it was separated out between the form types. So if you had 249 W-2s and 249 1099s, technically those things could still be paper filed. However, this is now, it's not only is it a 10 form threshold, but it's also combined between all the different information returns. So if you had 7 1099s and 5 W-2s, that is now enough forms to be required to e-file. So we want to make sure that everyone is still aware that that is the new threshold, that we're really consistent with that information, because it's definitely changed the filing process for a lot of companies out there, whether it is companies that grew through that time or just companies that are looking for preparers to file for them. And the IRS has not released further restrictions on the e-filing thresholds, but we've seen trends with other industries like the nonprofit 990 series filing, where ultimately they end up requiring filing. So keep an eye out, and we're always monitoring any changes in those requirements. But that is what we're looking at for 2024. Now, as always, TaxBandits is here to help with filing. We have been e-filing forms for over 15 years. We are an IRS-authorized e-file provider, so we e-file forms with the IRS, the SSA, the state agencies, but we file millions of forms every year, and we were the first provider to become certified with the new IRS IRIS platform for e-filing. We were part of the controlled launch for that. So really, really excited for that new platform and the e-filing process. Things are going to be really, really cool with that. But we also have expertise in all the different e-file platforms. So the fire system, the air system, the MEF, the W-2s for the EFW SSA system, all the different platforms that you see here. All right, so just an overview of what can you complete in TaxBandits. We have e-filing, obviously, so 1099s. There's a whole list of supported 1099s, as well as W-2s, 94X forms, so like payroll forms. We'll go into a little bit more detail on all these in a moment, but also ACA e-filing, so like 1094s, 1095s. In addition to just standard e-filing, TaxBandits also has a great W-9 manager for requesting W-9s from vendors or from clients' vendors. We have EFTPS reporting, which is designed to help business owners, and then we have a payroll option coming soon. So forms supported by TaxBandits, like I said, there's a whole list of 1099s. So obviously the NEC, the miscellaneous, those more popular ones, but also INT, DIV, and so on. TaxBandits also supports 1098s, W-2s, 1042s, 1042S forms. So over 40 forms in total. And then for the payroll forms, thinking like 941s, 940s, 943s, 45s. But all of these are available in your same TaxBandits account. So as you have clients that are approaching you and needing to file different returns, you're not having to look for different solutions in different places. All of these things that have really, really similar or close together deadlines, if not the same deadline, you can have one single solution for all of your clients and just get their forms taken care of. Also the ACA forms. So we know those are not necessarily January required forms. A lot of companies like to get them done in January. But as we approach, just the beginning of the year as a whole, having something in place for all of those forms is great. So the 1094s, 1095s, both the B and C series, and we also support the state filing for those. So California, DC, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. And like I said, we have the withholding certificates, so your W-9s, your W-8 BENs. So key deadlines for the 2024 tax season. As the year is concluding, organizations are facing a lot of pressure to get everything prepared and submitted on time. Preparers are in a situation of making sure they get that information for their clients. We want to focus on when are the deadlines. January 31st, 2025 is the deadline for the 941 for quarter 4 of 2024. It is also the deadline for the 940 for tax year 2024, as well as 1099 NEC and W-2 forms for tax year 2024. So a lot of things happening on that same date. Additionally, any organizations that are required to distribute the NECs, the miscellaneous, the W-2, those forms also have to be distributed by January 31st. So a lot of things happening in that first month of the year. And then, like I said, the ACA forms are coming up toward the end of March for the e-file deadline, but they're actually due to be distributed on March 3rd. So going ahead and having something in place for all of these forms now is really going to make the first quarter of 2025 a lot smoother. Let's talk a little bit about the common challenges that come with the filing process and traditional filing and how TaxBandits is helping to alleviate those things. So so we have the challenge, which is manual entry. Manual data entry it typically includes either papers or spreadsheets. It's time consuming. It increases the chance of human error significantly versus having digital files and then bulk uploading or using an integration to bring that data into a system is much smoother. TaxBandits offers options for bulk uploading client data. We have a variety of templates available. There's a template for every form that we support, so you can use our template to input and upload data. We also, for many of our forms, support a custom file upload, so you can actually map your own template into TaxBandits and upload for things like the 1099 NEC, for example, which is, again, eliminating a lot of that manual entry. It's making things much smoother. And if you're utilizing a common system such as like Sage Intacct, we are directly integrated with Sage Intacct, so you can e-file right from Sage into TaxBandits. We also have integrations with QuickBooks, Xero, FreshBooks, Zoho Books, so you can actually connect to those things and pull data over. And for anyone who is out there who has like a development team, we have API integration options. So there are a lot of really smooth ways to get data in and then get it filed without having to go through like a traditional manual entry process. All right, next up, so insecure processes it's more of a concern now than ever. The IRS is really, really pushing toward making sure that especially preparers or high volume filers are really taking note and putting in place precautions and strategies to make sure that their data is secure. Manual data entry and spreadsheets are not. Having paperwork or having downloaded files or whatever it may be, it's not a secure option for tracking and then filing that data. With TaxBandits, you have advanced security measures. So we are SOC 2 certified. We are also HIPAA compliant, hacker proof, and Komodo certified. We have fraud prevention measures in place. TaxBandits masks all personally identifiable information for added security, so like information on recipient copies that are sent out, but also information in the account. And we have a multi-layered account access process. So we have a one-time access code, we have two-factor authentication, and we even have single sign-on options available. And even if security is not your main concern, all of these things are beneficial because the more that the IRS starts to really push for additional security measures, there are also states that are pushing for additional security measures. And there are several states that are starting to monitor what e-file, like what systems are submitting information that's not legitimate or that is fraudulent. And as they flag those things, if it's a repeat issue, they will start to prevent those systems from filing with their state. And so if you're using a solution that does not have all of these things in place, even if your forms are fine for your clients, if that system is flagged, that means that your forms won't be able to be filed with that state either. So it's definitely important all around to have a solution that is putting the right amount of attention on security and that has these things in place, that has fraud prevention measures in place. So definitely a good thing to make sure is there as we head into 2025. Next up is team management, delegation, team responsibilities, making sure everyone's all on the same page during one of the busiest times of the year is crucial. So with TaxBandits, we have a Bandit Collab feature available. And with Bandit Collab, you are providing your team with secure access to the TaxBandits account, but you are in complete control of that. So you're able to assign roles to team members. You can actually assign which payers they're working on. Based on the roles and the payer settings, you'll actually see, for example, if you have a group that's preparing forms, they create the forms, they notify the approver, and then you have a separate group of team members that are going in and actually reviewing and approving those forms. And a lot of our high volume filers will even utilize a third role, which is a separate team that actually transmits. So you have a group creating, a group reviewing and approving, and then a third group of staff that are transmitting those forms, just again, as added checking, as added delegation. And they're only seeing the payers that they have access to in their accounts. They sign in and they're not seeing all of the client data. They're seeing what you've granted them permission to see. We also have a new feature for the 2025 calendar year, tax year 2024 filing season, which is groups. And groups is going to allow you to automate the process of adding clients or adding staff. You can create a group based on office location, based on client type. It's totally customizable, but when you add a staff member to the group, they automatically get access to the clients in the group, and the other way around. Staff members in the group automatically get access to any clients that you add to that group. So it just simplifies that process even further. Our next challenge with traditional filing is collecting TINs. Obviously, you can't file the form if you don't have the required information. So collecting that tax documentation and doing it in a way that is not only secure, but also in a way that's complete, and you're putting the best effort into getting the correct, accurate information is crucial so that you have what you need when you go to file. With our W-9 manager, you can easily request W-9 forms from vendors. They actually get an invitation to fill in their W-9 information, and it's not the form itself. It just asks them like interview style questions where they can put those details, but the same level of validation that's in a TaxBandits account is available through this W-9 request. So if they leave required information blank, if they answer a question and it means that something else isn't required, we're alerting them of missing information. We're adjusting based on what the required questions are. So it's making it a lot simpler for the vendor, and it's also increasing the chance that they're actually going to provide the right information. So it's an excellent tool. When they fill that information in, they get to actually view the W-9. They can download a copy for their records and they submit it back. It goes right back to the preparer account, And your team can then go in and review. We automatically complete TIN matching on that form. And when you're reviewing, if you say, oh gosh, like this isn't right, you can reject that form with your own custom error message to let the vendor know what's wrong, what they need to do, so that they can update and resend that W-9 to you. And then once it's complete, it's just saved in your TaxBandits account for future filing, for future records. You've got that available in a secure location. With TIN matching, that's also making sure that the TIN number and name that they're giving you matches the IRS database so that you don't have a rejected 1099 when it comes to filing season. You don't want to have gone through the process of getting the information and then later find out I did all this work and it's not correct. So then you have to obtain the right information and file corrections and this whole process. So with TIN matching, you're actually able to kind of check the information up front. And if it's not right, you can, again, reject that W-9, have the vendor provide the correct info, and then you're good to go. Now, we've talked a lot about like when you have to file and what you need to do to get data in and to have everything you need, but that doesn't cover what do you do to distribute the forms. So mailing them all is costly. It's time consuming. If you have a team that's having to do that, again, you run into human error of everything has to be addressed properly. Everything has to be complete. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of just effort on your team's part to try to do that in-house. But emailing copies isn't secure. It doesn't meet the IRS compliance requirements for delivering electronic copies. You have to receive that consent. They have several requirements in place to meet the distribution requirement by providing an electronic form. So emailing them is also not a good option. With TaxBandits, we not only can print and mail the forms for you from a SOC 2 certified printing facility, we also have a secure electronic option for distributing the recipient copies. With Bandit Share, you not only are providing an electronic copy, but it's actually giving the recipient access to our secure portal where they complete consent. You have record of that consent form, and then they have access to that form through the portal for 7 years. And as you file year over year for that same recipient, the additional forms that you file are in that same portal. So it keeps everything in one place. It's simple, secure, and when, even if you're mailing and providing online copies, when the vendor loses their form, you're not having to find it and download it and print it and mail it all over again. You can say, oh, go here, and send them the link, and they can sign in and access that copy securely. So it's a great solution. For record keeping, once everything is updated and you've filed, we all know that you're going to need to go back and look and see, what was filed, who did we file for? Oh, if we need to correct something, what was originally reported. So having something like TaxBandits in place where it's maintaining records for clients, it's maintaining staff information, it's keeping track of an activity log of who has completed actions in the account. All of those things are crucial. So with TaxBandits, we talked about like the recipients will have access to their forms for 7 years. It's the same thing in your account. For your admin account, for your staff, you'll have access to filed forms for 7 years. The activity log is providing information on what was completed, when it was completed. We have on-demand reporting that lets you see the statuses of the forms. And as those statuses are updated, we are also updating those for you in the application. You'll even have access to all the different copies of the forms that you'll need. So you can see everything that is needed for all of the clients you file for in a single location. We are now going to hop over into a 1099 NEC demo. We just want to show you a little bit about our enhanced application for the 2024 filing season.
So from your dashboard, you're going to click Start New Form and choose 1099 NEC from the dropdown. Now you'll need to add your payer. You can do this manually, entering all the information here if there are no payers in your account already. If you have a payer in your account already, you can select them from your address book. Then same for the recipient. You can add them if they're not in your account already, or we can just select them for the address book for this business. Once you've entered all your payer and recipient information, you can add an account number if you wish, or if not, we'll auto-generate that for you. You can also indicate by checking this box if the IRS has notified you twice within 3 calendar years that the recipient provided an incorrect TIN. If not, just leave it unchecked. Then we'll move on to the actual content of the form, entering non-employee compensation and checking if the payer made direct sales totaling $5,000 or more of consumer products to the recipient for resale. If not, just leave this unchecked. Enter any federal income tax withheld. And if you wish to add state information, just select your state from the drop-down. Enter any state income tax withheld. The state number will be automatically added here, and the state income will pull from box 1. You can add another state, save this form as a draft and come back to it later, save and add another 1099 NEC, or save and continue to filing. On this page, you can view and edit information, add more 1099s, export this form as either a PDF or a CSV for review, and if you wish to share it via our Bandit Connect client portal, you can do that here. For more information about this, check the video in the description. Then we'll continue to state filing. Since we added South Carolina state information, that all shows up here. You can review it. And all the state instruction information will show up here. So if you need to do anything else, it will show up here too. We'll continue to form distribution. Here you have 4 options. With the Bandit Complete package, TaxBandits will both provide online access to recipient copies to your recipient and postal mail them a physical copy. We can also only postal mail them a physical copy or only provide them with online access. Your final option is to print and mail yourself, where you take full responsibility for downloading, printing, and mailing the recipient their copy of the form. For today, we'll stick with Bandit Complete and continue to audit. Your form will now be checked for common errors. If any errors are found, you can easily correct them by clicking on the buttons. Since nothing was found today, we'll continue to form summary. On this page, you can edit and add more forms or schedule filing for a date in the future if you wish. If you leave this empty, it will just be automatically transmitted. Click proceed to checkout. Now you'll see an itemized breakdown of the order details for each of the services you selected. Then click complete your order to move on. Acknowledge our credit card usage statement. And you can select a credit card if it's already in your account or add a new card if you don't have one or want to add another. Confirm that you have the authority to use this credit card and click pay and transmit. And that's it. Stay tuned for email updates on the status of the form. And if you go back to the dashboard for this business, you can view information about it in the submitted tab.
All right. And just to recap before we get into our Q&A, I know we've got some questions in there already. Keep adding those. Any that we don't have time for today, we will follow up with you on. But quick recap, I know we've covered a lot of information. The main takeaways are TaxBandits is a trusted e-file provider. With our experience over 15 years in filing millions of forms, we've really perfected that process and made a great solution. We are the first provider given access to the IRS platform and took part in the testing and the controlled launch process for that. We have advanced security measures beyond the industry standard with SOC 2 certification, 2-factor authentication, and more. Our W-9 manager is simple, it's secure, and it's great for collecting the recipient information and verifying those details in time for the 1099 filing season. Our 1099 e-filing flow is also intuitive. We have built-in error checks that help make sure that process is smooth and that you're completing all of the needed information. Our bulk upload options and tracking also ensure that it's a successful season. We provide solutions for distributing the recipient copies both by postal mail and securely online. And those are our takeaways for today. So now, like I said, we'll go into that Q&A. Let me check our chat here and just see what questions we have, but feel free to go ahead and keep putting those in. Okay, the first one that caught my eye is it's very much kind of a FAQ, if you will, is the 1096 required when e-filing? And it is not. It's more of a paper form, but when you're e-filing, it's not needed. We do, however, automatically generate it for you in your account with us based off of the 1099s that you upload or input. We just auto generate that 1096, and it's available in your account for your record keeping, or if you need to provide that to clients, you can provide both draft copies and finalized copies of that to your client. The same thing with the W-3. It's not required when e-filing. It is available in the account automatically for you. The next question is there a way for me to get data from my client with TaxBandits? And that's a great question. There is. It's a client portal. It's called Bandit Connect. And with Bandit Connect, you can invite your client. They get, again, an email directing them to sign in. It's a different portal, but it's a similar process. They sign in, and you have multiple options within this portal. Number one, you can brand it. So you can have your own company, your own firm branding, including the logo, the colors, the contact information, the URL. You can customize all of that so that they're not seeing TaxBandits branding as your client. They're seeing your information. But when they sign into that portal, you're able to provide them templates to fill in. You're able to message them securely. You can even provide them the option to review copies of the forms so that they can see in progress forms, finalized forms, but you're able to use that as a tool of receiving and then verifying information before it's filed. Okay. Our next question is about postal mailing. So it's asking if there is a USPS option, like an address validation option available. And there is. So when you're e-filing, and like you saw in the demo, there's an option to sort of review all the services that you're getting before you file, and you'll want to make sure that USPS address validation box is checked, but then we're able to validate that information for you. And then one of the other questions was about if you could start the filing and then have it auto send later. And it's on that same page. It's going to be that scheduled filing. So you can opt for TIN matching, and you can opt for USPS address validation. You can also do scheduled filing on that page. And a lot of our clients will do those things kind of in combination with each other so that there's time to get the records back on the address validation, on the TIN matching before the form is transmitted. You can go in and update, and then when everything is correct, the form, you're good to go, but the form will go out on that scheduled date regardless. So that's perfect. And I know a lot of our clients also just like to have kind of a window when they're preparing forms for their clients. So it's a really good feature for that, is that scheduled filing. Okay, let's see. I think we have time for one or two more questions. A couple of these are a little bit longer, so we'll make sure to follow up with you on those items. Okay, and the last question that we'll go ahead and touch on is really just about pricing. And typically with pricing, our credits are the best option. Buying credits lets you lock in a lower discounted cost, and it also makes sure that you're not having to pay every time that you transmit. You're not having to share a company card. You purchase a credit for each form or service that you need. They get added to your account, and then it deducts from that as you file. So it's a really great option for high volume filing, for filing when you have a team working on things. We do have a lot of packages available for the things like BOIR, where we'd love to help with any pricing questions that you all have. You can reach out to our business development team at 704-684-4758. We're also available at sales@taxbandits.com, but we'd love to help with that. And thank you all so much for joining us today.